What's happening, guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's discussion video, we're going to be breaking down as well as reacting to all of the reveals which were just shown off by the Transformers brand team to coincide with this year's Hasbro Pulsecon. Now, Pulsecon tends to be Hasbro's final end of year huge announcement video to kind of set us up going into the preceding year. So in this case, they showed off some of the figures that we can expect to see as part of the first wave for the third and final chapter of Transformers Legacy, and these are scheduled to be released in 2024, which just so happens to be the 40th anniversary for Transformers. And check this out, the third and final chapter will be titled Transformers Legacy United, which I think is an excellent title, especially for the 40th anniversary. The word united to me gives me the impression that they're going to be picking characters from across the entire Transformers universe and uniting them, merging them into this third and final chapter. And let's just say that this first wave of United figures appear to be our most diverse character selection that we've so far seen for Transformers Legacy. So super exciting things, let's get cracking. So first up, they showed us 3 figures for the first wave of core class releases, and the first one is a huge name. So we have Transformers Energon Universe Megatron. Now personally, I would love to see an Energon Megatron in either a Voyager or a leader scale, but I do believe this is the first Transformers Energon figure that we've seen released in a while. So I am wondering if maybe they've put this guy in core class to kind of test the waters, to see if the fan demand is there for some updated Energon characters. You know, core class is by far their cheapest scale point, so if this guy tanks, then it's no skin off their back, and if it does exceptionally well, then in the future, who knows, maybe we could see this design and other Energon characters adapted into Deluxe, Voyager and Leader, which personally I would love to see. But in terms of this Energon Megatron for a core class, I think he looks sick, and it really does make me wonder if they can make him look this good in core class, how awesome would he be if they bumped him up in terms of scale. But both robot and jet mode look awesome. I think the colours for the most part are on point. He appears to be pretty decently articulated and surprisingly comes with a pretty decent weapon loadout. So yeah, he's really awesome. The next character also was one that has been rumoured for quite some time. I never actually thought we were going to see it released, but it is a Beast Wars inspired character, that being Tasmanian Kid, and it looks fantastic. For core class, I think it is so nicely done. When they first dropped the image of the robot mode, initially I was like, damn, are they sure this is not a deluxe class? Because the robot mode looks so accurate, pretty decently articulated again, and it also, to me, seems to be better than the Rat Trap figure that we saw as part of the first wave for Transformers Kingdom. So they definitely have nailed these core class figures going into United, and the Beast mode too, much like the robot mode, appears to be super accurate. They did say that it was going to have jaw articulation, which was unfortunately something that we did not see with Rat Trap, so I'm definitely excited for this one. I think out of all of the core releases that they showcased today, this is definitely the one that I am most excited for going into next year. And then the third and final character they showed off is going to be the first in what is a brand new subline of characters called Armorizers, and these are basically going to be like the Junkions for Transformers Legacy Year 3. So these are characters which can break apart, you can use them to armor up some of the other bigger characters, yet they can stay in one piece in order to transform them, and they're kind of inspired by the Rock Lords. So in terms of their robot mode design, they are very rocky, but this one here is Boulder Crash, and it does look surprisingly pretty decent. I mean, in terms of the detail and the articulation, much like Tasmanian Kid, surprisingly really awesome for the scale class. This, I believe, can transform into a handheld weapon, which you can give to some other characters, and I believe they very briefly hinted at the potential that maybe these guys, once fully collected, can combine to form something very similar to Junkosaurus, so that's going to be pretty awesome. This guy does transform into a motorbike, which is kind of a strange vehicle for a rock-like creature, but to be fair, in its defense, it does look pretty sick, and that pretty much wraps it up for the first wave of core class. Now we're going to get stuck into some of the deluxe reveals, and personally this is where I thought the team were on an absolute roll, as sticking with the Armorizer theme, we have a deluxe class Magnius, and this guy looks freaking fantastic. I thought his robot mode was awesome. One thing which I like about these modular like characters that we're seeing for the Transformers Generations line is that they are original, they're unique, they really allow the design team to go crazy in terms of their design, and personally I think they look all the better for it, because in terms of robot mode, this is like something we haven't seen in the Generations line in a very long time. I think the robot mode looks incredible. All of the limbs are detachable, much like we saw from the Junkions, but the detail is so nicely done. He does include a massive hammer, and personally, I love the vehicle mode. Very kind of Mad Max-esque in terms of its design, so they appear to be still sticking with that theme that we saw from some of the Junkions. It was also mentioned how you can take his hammer accessory, attach it onto the front to kind of create a ramming shield, which I think is going to be really awesome. So I'm definitely excited to check this guy out and all of the other characters that they're going to bring out for this subline. The next Deluxe class figure that they revealed is one that we've already heard about, but I haven't discussed yet over on the channel, and it is the second animated universe character to grace Transformers Legacy, and this time it's Bumblebee. I actually really like the way this guy looks. I think they've finally struck a fantastic blend between the original design and giving us something a little new and a little different. Pretty accurate to how he originally showed up back in animated. Personally, I think this is a better adaptation than what we saw from the animated universe Prowl, and I did like that figure quite a bit, so I'm definitely excited to check out this Bumblebee. He does include his Stinger Blaster, which can be combined much like it could in the animation. He'll also come with his boosters, which you can slap onto the rear ends of the vehicle mode, which looks pretty cool. Definitely am excited to check this guy out. And then the next Deluxe class figure they showed was one that I wasn't personally expecting. This is from the Rescue Bots universe, and this is Autobot Chase. Now, I've never watched Transformers Rescue Bots in my life. Personally, I think it appeals to a slightly younger demographic than myself, but I can definitely appreciate a good character and a good translation from that original series into action figure form. And yeah, this looks to be a pretty decent looking figure. I do like the way the robot mode design looks. The second I saw this, I could only see a Transformers Prime cliff jumper, and I wouldn't be surprised if in the future this mold gets reused for a Prime Universe cliff jumper, as I just think in terms of the leg design and especially the way the chest kind of stacks up with the windscreen and the windshield up front, it just screams cliff jumper to me. And even the vehicle mode, if they were to retool it so it never had the light bar, absolutely this could most definitely be a Prime Universe cliff jumper. But I think he looks great. The head sculpt is definitely one of the biggest selling points for me on this guy. I think he looks pretty sick. Should definitely be a fun Deluxe, despite me not being too knowledgeable in regards to its universe. And then the fourth and final Deluxe figure for Wave 1 was a big name drop, and this is one that I've been so excited to finally get a good look at. It will be a Cyberverse universe Windblade, and it looks pretty sick. Now, I unfortunately don't own any Hasbro Windblade figures, and I've always wanted to pick up that Thrilling 30s version, but it does go for quite a hefty price tag on the aftermarket, so I am definitely excited that they've dropped this one. And for a Windblade, I think it looks awesome. The face sculpt is super detailed. You can actually detach the headpiece and use it as a weapon. She comes with this enormous energon-infused sword, which I thought looked pretty badass. Unfortunately, she does have quite a bit of kibble, although I do think this is removable, so I'm definitely excited to see as to how it looks kind of dekibbled. But in terms of the jet mode, pleasantly surprised for a Deluxe class. I was expecting that undercarriage kibble to look awful, but the turbines can even be articulated to make it look as if though she's propelling forwards or propelling backwards, which I thought was a pretty sweet touch. And they also mentioned how inside the cockpit there will be some pretty sweet interior detailing, so I'm definitely excited for Windblade. I think in terms of the Deluxes, Windblade and the rock character Magnus are by far the two standouts, with the animated Bumblebee following incredibly closely behind, and that Chase I'm sure will be a pretty decent figure. And then we jump into the first wave of Voyager figures, which I think has to be the scale class that I was the most excited to see shown off, because for the longest time we had heard rumours of a new Optimus Prime, a new Transformers Prime character, and they absolutely delivered. So the first reveal they showed off of Voyager would be a Transformers Prime Universe Thundertron, which I think is such an interesting character pick, because this guy never actually showed up in the Transformers Prime series. I believe he was a toy-only release. He came out in 2012. I actually own the original Voyager, and to be fair, it's among some of my favourites from that Transformers Prime series, and this guy does seem from some of these official images to be better than that original version, which I'm kind of surprised to say, but he does look sick. They've stayed incredibly faithful to his original design, yet have updated it personally, I think, for the better. He now has a much broader design. He's got a better hip skirt than the original figure. They also kept some of the features of the original, so you will be able to completely remove the foot in order to create the peg leg, which I think is really really cool because if you don't know, this guy's a pirate, so that's really sick. And they also said how he'll have some battle damage engraved into his face to kind of give you the impression that he's been in battle for centuries. So that's really badass. And then in terms of his alt mode, he does transform into a lion, and this is also very faithful to the original figure, although as I said previously, I do think it looks better than the original because the original version had quite a lot of transparent plastic. Unfortunately, some of the pieces on mine have broke. They haven't held up too well over time. This appears to be primarily made out of solid plastic, and I definitely think looks all the better for it. So definitely looking forward to this Thundertron, but I don't even think he was the best out of the two reveals they showed for Voyager, as the next one we had was a Transformers animated universe Optimus Prime, and hands down this is by far the best animated figure that they've so far released for Legacy. This thing does look almost as good as the original in my opinion. Now it has been slightly stylized to better fit in with the Generations universe. They basically take these characters and they make them slightly more blocky, but personally I think this looks really decent. I mean, in terms of robot mode, I love how they got rid of the mouth plate. They've finally decided to give us a mainline Optimus Prime with an actual mouth, which I think is super cool. They did say that the axe will be extendable, so you'll be able to kind of collapse the shaft of the axe in, and the original Voyager version never came with a proper axe, so that already is a straight up improvement. I think the robot mode design just screams animated, especially in terms of the chest windows. It looks incredible. The legs, whilst they're not as sleek and kind of don't have that classic cartoon S-like shape to them, I still think look pretty decent, and the truck mode is near enough a one-to-one match to how it did show up in the animated series. They have done a fantastic job with this update, and super excited to pick him up. Now I do know there are rumours that they're going to turn this into a Transformers animated universe Motormaster, and the designer did specifically mention that the light bar on top will be removable. Now I know this may be clutching at straws, but I think if they were to give us an animated Motormaster, it wouldn't be a fire truck, it wouldn't be a search and rescue vehicle like Optimus Prime, so maybe the reason why it is removable is so they can just give us a generic bad guy looking truck. So I'm definitely excited to see this redecoed and retooled into Motormaster, because for an Optimus Prime, I think this looks pretty sick. And then some of the final figures they showed off for Legacy United would be the Leader Class assortment. And the first one is a straight up repack of the G2 Laser Optimus Prime, which personally I find to be an incredibly underwhelming release, because not only is it a reissue of a figure which was quite recently released, but it's not even that hard to find. So I definitely think maybe they could have given this to a slightly harder to find leader, or maybe just given this to a brand new character entirely. But the next one they showed off is brand new, and it is finally a Beast Wars Tiger Hawk. So we now have a Fuser in the line, and I've been wanting this ever since they dropped that Transmetals 2 Megatron. To be fair, I was hoping that we would even see it as part of Transformers Kingdom, and to say they delivered is an understatement. I think this looks incredible, definitely better than the original figure in my opinion. Robot mode is on point. They have captured the details down to a T, and this is going to look sick alongside that Transmetals Megatron. It also appears to be a pretty decent size. The wingspan seems to be very impressive. The metallic silver deco that they've got on the wings look awesome, and they did mention how they specifically kind of took the files from the Kingdom Air Razor and Tigertron and adapted those details into this release, so that you would really think that it is a fuse between both Air Razor and Tigertron like it was in the show. So that's awesome. I also think the beast mode looks surprisingly pretty detailed. You know, it's not too kibble-tastic, which I thought was pretty cool, and it also include quite a few accessories. So you'll be able to attach kind of the feathers and turn them into blades. It was also said that the cannons are also removable, so definitely am excited for this guy. And now we of course have to discuss the Transformers Legacy United poster. First of all, we see a few characters which have just been shown off, such as Thundertron, Animated Prime, Bumblebee, etc. But who is that slap bang in center? Well, it is Magmatron. I'm not too sure whether this would be the Commander or the Titan figure. I would be led to believe that this would be the Commander, because I just think Titan would be too big, but this is going to be super sick. I hope that it has 3 distinctive modes. That's going to be awesome. And Armada fans, you are not left out to dry, because at the very right hand corner of this teaser poster appears to be what I'm led to believe is a Titan class tidal wave, and I am so happy that they're going to be doing this character. Now, this is only a teaser, so nothing may come from this, but if we were to check out the Transformers Legacy Evolution poster, I believe they gave us every single character that was on that poster in the actual main line. So I really do think we're going to see Tidal Wave, and it's going to be so awesome. The only thing which I'm a little confused about is you can clearly see Armada Megatron next to Tidal Wave armored up with some of these components. Now, if this is a Titan class, surely those pieces are going to be way out of scale with that leader class Megatron. Megatron. So I am wondering how exactly they're going to manage that. Maybe it will only be a few pieces of Tidal Wave that you'll be able to attach onto Megatron, and they will be specifically to scale with that leader figure. I guess only time will tell. A lot of big drops today. There are some here which I'm so excited to check out, such as the Armorizers. I always love it when they drop a new modulizer for a Transformers series, so I'm definitely stoked to check those out. Windblade looks so incredibly cool. Animated Optimus Prime, Prime Universe Thundertron, and let's not forget the leader class Tigerhawk. Definitely super stoked to check him out as well. I'd love to get your thoughts down in the comment section below. Out of everything that was shown off today, what gets you guys most pumped? And until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.